What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. Coming at ya, UFC 308 happened today. This is the reaction show. We're breaking it all down. Big things happened. Today we're not drinking beer because I'm fucking exhausted. It was a daytime card. It was weird. I don't know, we're drinking a Red Bull at fucking 9:30 at night. This card, though, fucking awesome. I mean, 308, heartbreaking. If you're a longtime MMA fan, you like the good guys, but we got to see a lot of good fights, a lot of weird results also, but we're going to get into all that in just a second. First, our bets did absolutely terrible. We're down 380 on the card, down 335 year to date, so we're trending downwards fast. We've got to make it back in Edmonton next week. We'll have a card for that coming up later this week. But we'll go ahead and kick things off with the main event of UFC 308. We had Illia Topuria taking on Max Holloway. And Illia Topuria wins, third round knockout with a beautiful boxing combination. He had Max hurt early in the third and pounced on him. Left hook puts him down, ground and pound finishes him off. It was a good fight up to that point. I thought Max won round one. I thought you could have given him round two also, but round three, Illia comes out and he hurts Max with a straight, and then he just jumps on him, attacks the matador that he is. He's a fucking beast. I was doubting him. I didn't think that he had it, but he does. I bet on him because I thought that the knockout was coming, but there was something in my gut telling me Ilya is not that dude, but he is that dude. He is that dude. And he looked great. I mean, the dude's boxing is unreal. He had a couple takedowns on Max. Max shot right back up. But I don't know who could beat Topuria right now unless Volkanovski comes back and is at his old form before the second Makhachev fight, but I don't see that happening. I don't know. Hell of a fight. Hell of a year for Topuria. He's got to stay active this next year. I want to see 3 title defenses out of him. We'll get into some matchmaking after we break down the card, though. In the co-main event, we had Khamzat Chimaev. He absolutely ragdolled Robert Whittaker. He goes out there, shoots a takedown, and he's just swinging him around, taking his back, getting in the mount, going back to the back. Eventually, he gets a rear naked choke that turned into a face crank, just ripping on Rob's face. Rob starts tapping immediately. You see after the fight, Rob's jaw is all mangled. He dislocated or broke his jaw. I can't imagine what the squeeze from Chimaev is like. I was wondering how the gas tank's going to work, but if you can do that to Rob Whittaker, I mean, got to give him DDP next. He might have just skipped the line. The only problem is he might have to wait for after Sean Strickland just because of his travel issues. He seems like he can only really fight in the Middle East. So if they can't make a fight happen in the first half of the year in the Middle East, then they'll probably have Strickland and DDP, and then he'll fight the winner. But we'll have to wait and see. And then we had a number one contenders fight in the light heavyweight division. Magomed Ankalaev. He took on Alexander Rakic, and this was a Magomed Ankalaev fight. I thought he dropped the first round. Rakic was really kicking the shit out of his legs, but by the second round, Ankalaev was finding the body. He was starting to wear Rakic down. He wasn't beating on him real bad. He didn't really hurt him too much, but outpoints him for the win. Nothing too impressive, but he's probably going to get Poatan next. I'm not sure if they want to give it to him after a boring fight like that because they told him they want to see something exciting. They don't want to see the same old Magomed, and that really wasn't that exciting, but if he does get to fight Pereira is going to break his leg in half because this dude cannot stop the low kicks. But yeah, he gets a unanimous decision victory over Alexander Rakic. And, my bets were just fucking up in smoke already before this. And then we had Leron Murphy. He stays undefeated after a controversial decision over Dan Ige. I had Ige win in the first 2 rounds. I thought, Ige drops him in the second. He had more control time. He had more takedowns in the first 2 rounds. I know Leron got some in the third, but I thought Ige won that fight. It's a shame to see the judges go that way, but it was close, so you never know. Judging on this card overall was just absolute shit. It was a terrible, terrible night of judging. But one guy that kept the fight out of the judges' hands, Shara Bullet Magomedov. He took on Armen Petrosyan, and it was a pretty even fight in the first round in 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Petrosyan was kicking the shit out of his legs. Shara was getting better head work, both working the body a little bit. But then Shara, out of nowhere, spinning back fist, kind of connects, spins the opposite way off that spinning back fist, turns it to a double spinning back fist knockout. Viral moment. This is what the UFC's been wanting out of this guy, this viral moment to put Shara Bullet on the map. I said in my last episode, this guy, he hasn't impressed me since he's come to the UFC. A couple decisions in a third round TKO. nothing too flashy. This was flashy. This is what we heard about before he came to the UFC. This guy that was knocking everybody out and doing it with style. So, viral moment. Shout out to Shara Bullet. You proved me wrong. Another bet that I lost there. And like I said, the main card, that was it for the main card, but it was tough, man. You know, you hate to see Max go out like that. Rob gets finished early. It's tough to see. And then Magomed Ankalaev wins, and Dan Ige gets ripped off. I mean, tough main card, but it was good. It was good fights other than Magomed. But on the prelims, the featured prelim, we had Ibo Aslan. He turned into a full-grown silverback gorilla for about a minute. He goes out there, 26 head strikes, KO over Rafael Cerquera. What else to say? I mean, he just went out there, blitzed him, and it worked. Sometimes that's not going to work, but this dude's big, he's strong, he throws powerful. It's kind of like Sergey Pavlovich. Somebody's going to figure it out, I think, but that fight, it works for him. He gets the knockout, looks good doing it. Then we had Jeff Neal. He beats RDA due to it looks like he tore his ACL or something. RDA steps back and his knee just fucking gives out. He has to fall. TKO by injury. You know, Jeff Neal looked good for the minute and 30 seconds the fight was going on, but that's all it went, and we had an injury. We don't know what would have happened. Probably would have won. He was a big favorite, but another bet that I lost. On to the fight of the night. We had Mathieu Rebecki. He took on Miktebek Oralbai. This fight was a fucking banger. Early on, they're trading, and Oralbai gets a huge hematoma over his eye, and Rebecki's just attacking it, jabbing at it, closes his eye completely. Somehow they let the fight keep going, which I love, and it's just back and forth. The wrestling exchanges, the striking, it's all high action. And then we get to the third round. It's probably 1-1 apiece at this point. It could be 2-0 Rebecki, but we'll say 1-1 apiece, and then Rebecki goes out there. He drops Oralbai. It looks like the fight should be stopped. He's pounding him. He's beating the shit out of him. Out of nowhere, Oralbai kind of reverses, gets on top, starts beating up Rebecki. Rebecki's cut up from a head clash in the first round, or the beginning of the second, somewhere in there. It was a hell of a fight, but Rebecki pulls off the win. Split decision. I thought it should have been unanimous, but Oralbai did make a little comeback in the third. I see how one judge gave it to him, but like I said, these judges were terrible. This fight, though, was fucking awesome. And then we had Abus Magomedov. He defeats Bruno Ferreira by a third-round arm triangle. It was a fun fight. Round one, Magomedov, he comes out, he outpaces him, he's landing his range shots, he's working Ferreira. And then round two, Ferreira's throwing bombs and landing him. It looked like he dropped him 1 or 2 times. They didn't score any drops, but it looked like he had him wobbled pretty bad. And then round three, Magomedov comes out back, he's got his gas tank back, and he shoots a takedown, quickly moves to the head and arm triangle and gets the finish. The broadcast team on this card alluded to this, but the dude looked juiced as fuck. They said he went back to Germany, and, I mean, he's got muscles on muscles. They're like, what's this guy doing? Like, his workout is insane. That's like, cardio is key, and this dude was just fucking, I mean, thank God USADA's not around for Magomedov, but another bet that I lost. Submission victory, though, for Abus Magomedov. He's bouncing back after that round 2 stoppage he suffered at the hands of Sean Strickland. And then we had Kennedy Nzechukwu. He took on Chris Barnett, and this was a TKO due to body shots, injury. It was a weird one. At the beginning of the fight when they're doing the announcements, Barnett's jumping up, stomping the cage, and he rolls his ankle. Bad look to start. And then in an exchange, Chris Barnett throws a kick, and you see his ankle just give out. And at that point, he just covers up. Kennedy Nzechukwu comes in with a boxing combination, drops him with a liver shot, but Chris Barnett was hurt from the ankle, and he was down for a while. TKO victory for Kennedy Nzechukwu. I didn't know how this fight was going to go. I'm a big Kennedy fan, but he has been chinny in the past. But shout out to him. He gets a victory in his heavyweight debut. And then we had Farid Basharat. He remains undefeated after outpointing Victor Hugo in it was a fight. There were some entertaining moments. Hugo threatened a leg lock at one point, but Basharat really just outpointed him in this. He's a beast. He's very well-rounded, but he's just not super entertaining for me. And not one undefeated fighter lost their O. 4 undefeated fighters on the card. All of them stayed undefeated. And then we had Ismail Nurdiev. He defeated a broken shell of a man formerly known as the fighter Bruno Silva. This dude went out there and he did what he needed to do. He wrestled him. He outstruck him. Bruno Silva just looked like he did not want to be there. He was just accepting defeat, accepting the takedowns, accepting the bottom position every time Nurgiev tried anything. It was like, why are you even here, dude? You're not going to rematch Weidman with a loss like that after all the shit he's been talking. So, victory for Ismail Nurgiev, unanimous decision. Dog walks Bruno Silva. And then the fight that opened the night, we had Rinat Fakhretdinov. He took on Carlos Leal, and this might be one of the worst decisions I think I've seen in recent memory. We see a lot of people complaining about judging. A lot of the judging that I see when people are complaining, I'm like, I didn't see it that way. I could see how a judge not seeing the replays, not being able to watch it on the screen from a further back perspective, maybe they saw it different. This one, I don't know how you see that. Round one, it was close. You could give it to Fakhretdinov, but I don't think so. They both landed some strikes, but Carlos Leal was teeing off on him. I thought he was stuffing the takedowns. When he did get taken down, he got right back up. Round two, Leal teeing off again, beating the shit out of him. In round three, I thought Leal won that one as well. He was stuffing the takedowns again. He was just doing what he needed to do to win. In the end, all three judges saw it for Rinat Fakhretdinov. 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27 makes absolutely no sense. There's no way he won the second round. I didn't think he won the first or the third. I would have gone 30-27 Carlos Leal. But for argument's sake, we'll say 29-28. But poor guy. He loses his win bonus. And what a shit decision over in the Middle East for, hometown boy. It wasn't even Middle East judges or anyone from over there. But you got to wonder, are these guys paid off? Why are they judging that way? I mean, the crowd wasn't popping for Fakhretdinov. He wasn't really doing anything. So that's the card. It was a good card, though. It was fun card to watch. Now, though, we got UFC Edmonton coming up next week. It's going to be a fun card. We got Brandon Moreno. He's taking on Amir Albazi. It's got fun fights all over the board. You got Victor Henry. He's taking on Charles Jourdain. It's a good card. I'll get into that later this week after I do some film study, and we'll get you some picks. Try to get positive, bounce back from this terrible week of betting that we had. But we're going to move on to Matchmaker Matt. We're going to match up these five winners from the main card with who we want to see next. And we'll start with the champ, Illia Topuria, undefeated matador from Spain, 145 king. First thing I want to see, a lot of activity from this next year. Do the Pereira plan, go out there, get a couple of knockout wins, there's not a lot of people I think that are going to be a problem for him at 145. I think the guy he needs to fight next, though, he doesn't need to rematch Alexander Volkanovski. To bolster your title reign, take on Diego Lopez. Take on the new bull, the new guy coming in, the new hot thing that everyone's talking about, this wild fighter. He's a perfect matchup for Illia Topuria. Diego Lopez, he keeps his chin high. He's a good jiu-jitsu guy, really good at jiu-jitsu, but Topuria is also a black belt, and he's a beast at wrestling also. It'd be a good fight. And Diego Lopez, he's done nothing but earn it. I mean, beats Brian Ortega, beats Dan Ige. He could have beat Movsar Evlov if he had a little bit more time, I imagine. So that's the fight I want to see next for Illia Topuria. Take on Diego Lopez. Let's see it in January or February. Then we have Khamzat Chimaev, and just give the man a title shot. We know he doesn't fight much. We know he can't fly anywhere but the Middle East. So we're going to have to wait to see when they can get a fight over there, when the next time they're going to Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi. Saudi or Abu Dhabi. But, yeah, title shot and he might have to wait for the winner of Strickland versus DDP if that's going to be a little further off, but Khamzat needs a title shot. The dude's a fucking monster. And the only guy I could really see stopping him is DDP, just with his awkwardness and his strength. I don't think that Khamzat would be able to ragdoll him. The way he has everybody else. And then we got the electric Magomed Ankalaev. I guess give him Poatan or send him to the PFL. I don't know. Boring. He's going to get fucking worked by Poatan. He doesn't do the takedowns like everybody thinks he is. Everyone thinks he's going to go out there and wrestle Poatan and get the victory. He's not going to outstrike him. After seeing that performance, Poatan's more accurate. He's just as fast as Ankalaev. better leg kicks, more weapons. I don't see any path to victory for Ankalaev. So give him Poatan if you want to add another stat to Poatan's record, but we're sending him to the PFL. Who gives a fuck? They love signing boring Russians. Then we have Leron Murphy, and I know they don't really like to match up countrymen that often over in England, but I want to see Leron Murphy take on Arnold Allen. I think that would be a fun fight. He's a guy that really likes to stay technical and likes to, jab your head off, work at range, kickbox fight. That's his style. And if he takes on Arnold Allen, it's going to be anything but that. He makes it a barn burner every time. Allen's a great striker, very technical, but he can turn it into a barn burner. He's wild, he's strong, and I think that the pressure, if Leron Murphy can get past that test, then it shows he's in the upper echelon. I don't know if he deserved this victory, but Arnold Allen, he's on a bit of a skid. Leron Murphy, he's coming off a controversial decision. I say make the matchup. Do it in England next time you go. And finally, we got Shara Bullet Magomedov after his viral knockout moment. Calls for Izzy. I don't hate it, but I just wonder, do you want Izzy to fight an unranked guy? And this is going to sound controversial also, but I think you give him Rob Whittaker. Rob, he comes off knocking out Ikram Aliskerov. He goes up against Khamzat, gets ragdolled. He's a great striker. He's also a good wrestler. He would pose a lot of problems for Shara Bullet, but that's a great test. If he can get past Rob Whittaker, it really shows you're in the top of the division. Does the same thing a win against Izzy would do. It's probably a little tougher, honestly, than the Izzy fight. Not saying he would win either of them, but just with all the weapons Rob presents, even coming off that broken jaw, I like him versus Rob. I don't know if the UFC will do that because they might see that a hype train's getting derailed because this guy is not Khamzat Chimaev. But yeah, how about Rob Whittaker versus Shara Bullet Magomedov? That's an electric matchup right there. Electrifying. That's the word of the day, electric. All right, that's all I got for the show for you today. One last thing, remember, parlays are how sportsbooks make 80% of their profit, so don't be doing parlays. I had a friend send me a 15-leg parlay, Noah. I had another friend send me a 10-leg parlay, and he wasn't watching the fights because he had to work today. He texted me and said, hey, don't tell me what happens, but as long as Barnett doesn't lose, all my other bets, they're guaranteed hits. I forget, it was like $5 to win 2,000. It was insane. And then he texted me a couple hours ago. He said, I can't believe what happened in that Barnett fight. And I was just like, dude, parlays. Just donating money to the sports books. But that's all I got for you today. Sorry it's an off show. I'm not drinking. I'm a little antsy. I'm a little tired. It was a long day. We went trick-or-treating with the kids. We watched the fights. We worked. We did it all. So, hell of a day. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Matt with Blood and Beer, and this will be my last good day of the weekend because tomorrow the Browns are going to suffer defeat again, and I'm going to be... Thank you for watching.